a lot of these speakers are very personal to me. This young man is as well. I've been knowing him since he was a little boy. He was a little boy. So again, everyone here is, as I said, very personal to me. They have their own story. And I want you guys to see again what purpose looks like in motion. Help me welcome Mr. Devon Castro.
Thank you. Good morning. Let me first thank Shree for the invitation. Thank you all for being welcoming this morning. You guys could be anywhere. I had a little flashback when I saw Britt of one of the worst whoopings I ever got when we were kids, trying to be defiant to our parents. So that just instantly came to my mind. I had a little anxiety preparing. I speak a lot, but every event is different. When Shree told me she wanted us to talk about passion, I'm like, what do you tell other people about your passion that, makes them comfortable? And so I had great anxiety, and as I'm sitting there, Detrice confirmed quite a few things for me. We've never met each other. We met on the elevator coming up, and she literally confirmed a few things I was thinking, and you'll see why. I tried to compress passion success into the last few years, and I think that's where my anxiety came from. Trying to surmise everything into 2 or 3 years worth of business success, when really the result of my labor today is the direct result of 2 questions that were asked to me. One in the 7th grade, when I got asked to speak at an event. Roy Melanson asked me to speak at his annual gala. Now, I'm a 7th grader, and they have a history of heavy hitters on the dais. So when he asked me to speak, I'm completely caught off guard, and he asked for a private meeting. So I'm sitting my 7th grade self in front of him, and he asked me a question. He said, well, what do you want to do? And I came up, I had this program response by then. I want to be a principal, politician, preacher. I'd always, shout that out, and it sounds good when you're a kid. And he said, no, let me rephrase that. He said, who do you want to be? He said, what makes you tick? That question stunned me. He said, you have no idea. When I started trying to answer the way I thought he wanted to hear it, he said, you have no idea who you want to be. He said, what makes you tick? Well, I learned over the years that service was my passion. I had a gift for it. God had called me to do some things I never expected. And so I started walking in service. It opened doors for me that I can't explain. The second question was, what do you do? I spent a long time in corporate sales. I made a lot of people rich. Everybody but myself. And so my tenure in corporate sales, when I would walk outside of work, people would always say, well, what do you do? Well, I worked so many different jobs that I had difficulty answering that question. The Luxelife is my company. It's about 3 years old. It was started out of that question, what do you do? I worked various jobs for different people, so I had a hard time putting myself in a box because I didn't want to limit my opportunities if somebody said, what do you do? I started this company from God's pushing. When I started, I was in a very comfortable job. My job of 7 years during the pandemic brings me in the office. They said, we have to sit everybody down. Management, leadership, heavy hitters, everybody's got to go home. They said, you can take your package if you want, use your vacation time to draw your money out, but we got to send you home. That day I got in my car, my words were literally this: Lord, I got to trust you like I say I do. That started something for me I had no vision on. When I got to my house, It had been about 10 years since I had taken a real vacation. I hadn't taken any trips. I'm working, trying to grind it out. I took 3 months and I slept. I mean, literally, I slept for 3 months. I didn't answer calls. I didn't entertain getting another job. I slept. I rested. Well, I had no idea what God was doing behind the scenes during that period of rest. When I finished resting, I got up. I did 3 things. I prayed. My prayer was, Lord, give me vision and give me focus. I started having an idea about a company I wanted to start. These ideas were everything I had been doing for everybody on the side under one roof. So I'm planning. That was the second thing. I'm sitting down getting the house right. I'm filing LLCs. I'm doing research. I'm making sure that when I go out for it, that I have no regret. The Bible says count the cost. I started counting the cost. And I'm talking about every aspect of it. What is this going to cost me in relationship? What is it going to cost me financially? I was planning. The plan was we'll start this company and we'll continue to work, to keep the money coming in when they invite us back. Well, I sat down for about 8 months before my company said, come on back. During that 8 months, I rested, I planned, I prayed. Well, when I got back to my company, they called me back. And that first day back, I said, I don't think I'm coming back. and they got upset about it. Well, this is how God works. My manager, when I went in to tell him, I think I'm going to leave. Now, in the corporate side on sales, when you say 2 weeks, they tell you go home now. There's no loyalty in sales. So they tell me, I tell you what, he says, come in my office. He says, when you leave, don't tell anybody you're leaving. Don't announce it. Go home. And I'm going to keep you on payroll until you decide this is really what you want to do. They kept me on payroll so long, I had to literally tell them stop paying me. But God allowed me to use that time to really set up the house. So, excuse me. That was my planning, my prayer time. And then the push was, I really got to trust you like I say I do. So I started my company and I launched it out, and I started, no joke, in the June that I returned, my phone has not stopped ringing since. Now, I say all that in prayer, preparation, and push, but these things take work. Yes. Now, I understood what Kim Kardashian was saying. It came from the wrong source. But I knew where she was going. It takes work to stay there. And the problem with people now is when they start, everybody in Houston owns a business. I don't care what you say. Everybody got an LLC now. But everybody's not prepared to do business. If you're going, this was my thing. I feel like the Spirit will allow me to say this. When I say it, count the cost. My thing was, Lord, if I'm going to do it in your name, I don't want to embarrass you. That's really what I believe. If I'm going to go out and say, you told me to do this, I don't ever want to have to go back and say, I need my job back. That was my real feeling. So I had too much pride to say, I need to come back. I knew I was going to work. I have a nonprofit now, and I tell my young men this. I said, I'd rather work 3 and 4 jobs to make sure I can live the way I want to live, as opposed to sitting out on a dream that brings me nothing. I really mean that. So anyway, prayer, it takes work, it takes vision. Vision for me looks like this. When I had that conversation with Roy Melanson, he asked me, what makes you tick? I had to really think deep. From that day, I started writing everything down. That's the way my right hand is sitting here. She says all the time, you need to put it in the phone. That don't work for me. I write it out. And this is how vision works for me, is that I can't move on. I can't progress until I've checked it off the list. That's how I operate. So I tell you, my vision says, write it down, and you haven't done anything until you've checked it off the list. And vision is every day for me. It's how I move. And I don't move unless we've checked off the list. So write the plan down. Execute it. Vision, work, focus. It takes focus. Focus is sitting there and saying, I'm not moving on until we've gotten it right. We don't focus enough. Focus takes quiet time. All my friends have so many people around them, some of my friends, some associates. They've got so much noise around them. But how can you hear God if you've got no quiet time? I really mean that. So I know you all have got it. I know everybody in this room has drive, because you wouldn't spend your Saturday in this room if you didn't. But if you say you trust God, really trust Him. When Daytree said that, it gave me chills because I was going through the same thing. So you guys have got it. I look forward to seeing everyone work. I look forward to working with everybody. I love working with my people. Cherie, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the acceptance. But I appreciate you, and I look forward to going to work with you all. Thank you.